Stories. Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our September 17th meeting. This is the regular council meeting, and it's held hybridly, so there's people online as well as the audience. I'm going to call the meeting to order and start off with the land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen is located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nation, which includes Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Kugog Island, Rama, Beausoleil, and Georgina Island First Nations. The township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen respectfully acknowledges that the Williams Treaties First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of the lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. I'm going to ask everyone to please turn your cell phones off or mute them so it doesn't disturb the meeting. And I'm going to remind council of the declaration of pecuniary interest. If it arises, you can declare it then. And then we have minutes here from the regular council meeting of September 3rd. So it falls in order. I'll look for a motion to receive those minutes. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, second by Councillor Clements. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so we do have a zoning bylaw amendment. So I'm going to start with that. I got a motion to go into a public meeting for zoning bylaw. Moved by Councillor Clements, second Councillor Doherty. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, the zoning bylaw is a statutory public meeting held under Section 39 of the Planning Act. Any person may attend the public meeting and or make verbal or written representation, either in support or in opposition to the proposed zoning bylaw amendments. Please keep your video off and microphone muted during the meeting until I invite you for comments regarding the planning matter. If a person or public body does not make oral submission at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen before the proposed zoning bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If a person or public body does not make an oral submission at the public meeting or make written submission to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen before the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is passed, the person or public body may not be added to the party to the hearing of the appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to add the person or public body as a party. If you wish to be notified of the passing of the zoning bylaw amendment, you must make written requests to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alicia for this application. Good morning, Alicia.
Good morning, Mayor Martin, and through you, I'd like to wish everybody else a good morning as well. Great, thank you. So the purpose and effect of this application this morning is to present for the consideration of members of the public and council an application to amend the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw 1995-42 as amended to support the redevelopment of the subject property with the demolition of the existing dwelling unit and a replacement of that with a new dwelling unit. The subject property is 56 Fire Route 85R, which is also described as Part Lot 23, Concession 8 in the Methuen Ward. The applicants of this zoning bylaw are Ronald and Betty Ann Cousins, and their property is approximately 0.4 hectares, which is just over 1 acre, sorry. The property is located on Jack Lake, with some of the property being located on Sharps Bay, which is at capacity. And I should note that no new lot creation is permitted within 300 meters of this at capacity area. But also important to note that no new lot creation is being proposed through this application, and an environmental impact study was conducted out of an abundance of caution and recognition.
Yep. Sorry to interrupt. Do you have somebody talking in the background, or is that on our?
I do. Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm using new headphones today, and I'm not sure if my microphone is connected. So I will just quickly switch headphones and try that out.
Okay. Yeah, we're getting some background noise. Something like.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, is this any better at all?
We're still picking up the background noise with your microphone, not your headphones, so I don't know who's. Are you in a joint office?
Through you, Mr. Chair, pardon me. Just give me 1 sec. I'm going to quickly switch. My sound is also coming out of my computer itself. So pardon me 1 moment.
Technology at its finest.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, is this any better at all or no?
It's still the same, Alicia, so is there somebody in your office with you?
Yes, I'm gonna go switch and try to go into a separate office. My apologies. If you give me 2 minutes, I will be right back. Apologies through you, Mr. Mayor. Is this a little bit better? I am in a separate office now with the door closed. Unfortunately, I don't have a microphone, but
No, that's better.
okay, great. Apologies, everybody, for that. I did have multiple screens before, so I will just pull up my notes here and we'll hop back in. I will perhaps start back at our conversation regarding Jack Lake because I'm not sure what folks may have missed.
Okay.
So, through you, Mr. Mayor, the property is located on Jack Lake, with some of the property being located on Sharps Bay, which is at capacity. And what I was mentioning before is that though no new lot creation is permitted within 300 meters of the at capacity area, I would like to note that no new lot creation is being proposed through this application. And because of that, it is permitted. Obviously, there's no reason to say that it is not, because it's not new lot creation. However, the applicants, out of an abundance of caution, have retained an ecologist to prepare an environmental impact study, just because they are in recognition of the environmental conditions of Sharps Bay, which the property is on. And the environmental impact study does provide recommendations and mitigation measures to ensure any redevelopment of this existing developed lot of record can be carried out appropriately. So the application itself is for a property that is developed currently with a 58.5 square meter dwelling, as well as numerous accessory structures, including a boathouse, a sleeping cabin, and just a plastic shelter. The applicant is proposing to demolish the existing dwelling and replace it with a 233 square meter dwelling, thereby increasing the proposed lot coverage to 7.89% from the existing 2.83%. And the seasonal recreational dwelling is proposed to be located at the same setback from the high water mark as currently exists, which is 7.25 meters. The existing septic system is only 14.4 meters from the high water mark of Jack Lake currently. So this redevelopment will see the septic system, or a new septic system rather, be moved back beyond the minimum 15-meter setback as prescribed by the Ontario Building Code. So there will be an improvement for the septic location. The environmental impact study that I mentioned previously does conclude that the development should not result in negative impacts on Jack Lake or its associated features, including Sharps Bay. And township staff are recommending that because we do have that environmental impact study, that a holding provision be included as part of the rezoning to ensure that the recommendations of that environmental impact study be registered on title by the applicant, effectively, just to make sure that any mitigation measures that are recommended sort of act as an additional protectionary measure. Once the registration of these recommendations is demonstrated as complete, the applicants may then apply to remove the holding provision. And the relief from the zoning bylaw that is overall being requested today is to reduce the required front yard setback and the setback from the high water mark from 21.3 meters and 30 meters respectively to that 7.25 meters each, which is the existing condition as well. Following the review and assessment of this application within the context of the relevant land use planning policies, it is township staff's opinion that the subject application will conform to the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, the County of Peterborough official plan, the township official plan, and will be consistent with the provincial policy statement. Public notice was posted on site and mailed to surrounding property owners in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act. And this concludes the staff presentation portion of the public meeting. And now I'm happy to take any questions from council or members of the public. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna open it up and ask 3 times if there's anybody in opposition of this application, followed by 3 times anybody in favor of the application. So I'm gonna start off here for the first time. Is there anybody wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Second time, anybody wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Third time, anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this application? The applicant on here? Okay.
Right there.
Oh, okay. All right. Did you have anything to add there or?
No, you did a good job presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, second time, anybody wishing to speak in favor of the application? Third time, is anybody wishing to speak in favor? All right, I'm going to open up to council. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead. Councillor Doherty, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it alludes to the application will further serve to legally permit the existing accessory structures located within the yard. So does that mean that they're illegal now? I'm not sure what that meant.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, just to confirm, the accessory structures is what we're referring to?
It says yeah, that's right. It would be.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I no longer have my headphones on, so a little bit difficult to hear. So yes, so by not sort of incorporating them into the overall zoning bylaw amendment, where we're not necessarily speaking to them specifically. This is really about the change of the old dwelling to the new. So permitting the new redevelopment of it. So by rezoning the property, there's going to be no sort of specifics related to those accessory structures.
But it will recognize all of them structures that are on there. Is that why they're mentioned here?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Effectively, this will set forth from now anything that is existing on the property or proposed would be considered legal. Of course, if there was going to be any sort of changes to those accessory structures, then other planning applications would have to come forward to, if they were going to be redeveloped themselves, there might be a building permit required or other zoning relief required.
So the rezoning is recognizing what's on the ground today.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, yes.
So we are now we're actually legalizing the garage at the back. Is that what? So.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. So through this process, we're going to be making sure that everything on the site going forward is sort of up to code, legal, and there's going to be a sort of a whole review of all of them. So it would legalize them in accordance with making sure that they are all safe, and then moving forward, they'd be permitted as existing.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, we have a recommendation before us here. It's council's thoughts. Okay, Deputy Mayor Webb.
Let's make a motion that we approve the recommendation from the planner with I believe there are hold provisions. With that.
We'll pass as presented.
Exactly.
Okay, all right, so that's moved by Deputy Mayor Webb. Do I have a seconder for that? Counselor Clement is seconding that. Any other questions? All in favor? And that's carried.
That's for you there, Martin. If we go through the ones, like you said, who opposed to it, we didn't go through the favored ones. We didn't go through that whole process. You didn't ask
Yeah, I
three
did. I
times.
asked 3 times in favor.
All right.
Okay. All right then. So that concludes the zoning bylaw amendments for today. So I'll look for a motion that we go back into the public meeting. Moved by Councillor Doherty, second by Deputy Mayor Webb. All in favor? It's carried. And the next item is Committee of Adjustment. So I'll look for a motion to go into Committee of Adjustment with Deputy Mayor Webb in the chair. Moved by Councillor Doherty, second by Councillor Clement. All in favor? That's carried. Carry on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the Committee of Adjustment. I'll call this public meeting to order and remind members of the committee of the requirement to disclose any pecuniary interest and general nature thereof if the occasion arises. This public meeting is held under Section 45 of the Planning Act and its regulations. We'll now have our planning consultant, Alicia Ackroyd, present. I believe we have 5 applications today, the first being Cummings. So take it away, Alicia.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And through you, yes, the first minor variance application being discussed today is for file number A-13-24. And the application was submitted by Shannon Cummings for the property municipally known as 421 Fire Route 25 on Belmont Lake in the Belmont Ward and is identified as Part Lot 15, Concession 5, roll number 1531-010-003-32403. The property is just less than 1/4 hectare, which is just over 1/2 acre. And the property is zoned seasonal residential and designated shoreline. The purpose of this minor variance application is to reduce the required setback to the high water mark from 30 meters to 21.6 meters to accommodate screening in the existing lakeside porch that currently exists on the dwelling on site. The dwelling is approximately 138 square meters in size, and the existing porch is 11.6 square meters in size. There will be no further encroachments towards the high water mark being proposed as part of this application. Rather, the variance is just to recognize the existing condition on the site, being that porch, and to permit further development of the porch by screening it in within the required high water mark setback. The application has been circulated to Crow Valley Conservation Authority for comments, and the Conservation Authority has confirmed that the proposed screening in of the porch will require a permit from their office. As such, a condition has been incorporated into the recommended approval of this variance to ensure that that permit from the CVCA is obtained prior to the development. Township staff has expressed that it is their opinion that the application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance, is in keeping with the provincial policy statement, and meets the intent of the growth plan of the Greater Golden Horseshoe. As such, it is township staff recommendation that the application be approved with the conditions included in that staff report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alicia. Is the applicant or their agent present today or online? No, seeing him.
Hello, I am present.
Hi, could you state your name, please?
My name is Shannon Cummins.
Okay. Did you have anything to add, Ms. Cummings?
Pardon me?
Did you have anything to add?
No, I don't believe so. Thank you.
Okay. So is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Second time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in favor of this application? Second time, anyone in favor? Third and final time, anyone in favor of the application? Not hearing any comments, I'll open up to the members of the committee for comments or questions. Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, so I'd be prepared. Everything's pretty straightforward here, so I'd be prepared to approve application A-13-24 with the recommendations listed.
We have a motion to approve with conditions from Mayor Martin, seconder, Councillor
That's Crow Valley?
Clement.
Crow Valley. Okay.
The mover and a seconder. Call the vote, all in favor? That's passed. Thank you very much. We'll move on to number 2, McDonald-McIver. Alicia, go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. The next file number is A-11-24, and this application was submitted by Dave Tucker on behalf of property owners Gay McDonald and Rod McIver. Property is municipally known as 812 Island 27 on Jack Lake in Methuen Ward, identified as Island 4 Jack Lake, Concession 8, roll number 1531-010-007-72300. The property is just less than a quarter of an acre, being approximately 0.6 acres. Sorry, quarter of a hectare, being approximately 0.6 acres. And the property is zoned island residential and designated shoreline. The purpose of this application is to facilitate the addition of a bathroom to the existing dwelling, thereby having the effect of reducing the required front yard setback from 21.3 meters to 8.1 meters, reducing the required setback from the high water mark from 30 meters to 8.1 meters, increasing the permitted lot coverage from 4% to 5.27%, and increasing a deficiency as it relates to the height of the existing dwelling. The applicants are proposing, in addition to the existing dwelling on the island property, for the purpose of developing an ensuite bathroom. The existing dwelling is 156 square meters in size, while the proposed addition is just 1.4 square meters in size. And the existing dwelling is currently deficient with respect to the setback of the shoreline. However, this proposed addition will not further decrease that setback to the high water mark than currently exists on the property overall. The property is outside of Crow Valley Conservation Authority jurisdiction. Therefore, the application has been circulated to the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry for comments, and the application has also been circulated to the Peterborough Public Health Unit. No comments have yet been received from any of these agencies at this time. Township staff has expressed that it is their opinion that the application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance, is in keeping with the provincial policy statement, meets the intent of the growth plan of the Greater Golden Horseshoe, and as such, the township staff recommendation is to approve the application with conditions included in the staff report. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Alicia. Is the applicant or agent present with us today?
Yes, we are. Gay McDonald, Rod McIver.
Are you having to add to?
No, sounded great.
Sound good? Okay, thank you. So, is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Second time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in favor of the application? Second time, anyone in favor? Third and final time, anyone in favor? So no comments or questions. Open up to the members of the committee. Councillor Clement.
Through you, Chair. Just one question about your septic. So it will accept a second bathroom, no problem?
We have holding tanks regularly pumped, and we, Peterborough gave us, we have more capacity.
Okay, perfect.
We have more capacity.
Okay.
Just for clarification, Alicia, you said that this wasn't being examined by Crow Valley, but letters have been circulated to the ministry and who else? Peterborough Public Health, I believe.
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's correct, yes.
Okay, and we got no comments back from them?
Not at this time right now, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. So, we have a mover for it, Councillor Clement. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Flagler, comments or questions on the motion? If not, all in favor? That's passed. Thank you. Move on to our third report for this morning. Tomlinson. Go ahead, Alicia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you, the next minor variance application being discussed today is for file number A-10-24. This application was submitted by Kirk Figuera on behalf of property owners Brian and Shannon Tomlinson. The property is municipally known as 105 Fire Route 75N. The property is located on Cashabog Lake in the Methuen Ward and is identified as part lot 11, concession 7, roll number 1531-010-009-02500. The property is about a third of a hectare, which is just over 0.8 acres, and is zoned seasonal residential and designated shoreline. The applicants are seeking to tear down and rebuild the existing dwelling on the site to a larger size. To do so, the following variances are required. Reducing the required front yard setback from 21.3 meters to 0 meters. Reducing the required side yard setback from 6 meters to 4.6 meters. Reducing the required rear yard setback from 7.5 meters to 6.7 meters. And reducing the required setback from the high water mark from 30 meters to 29 meters. So just for clarification, that front yard setback is the front lot line is a different line than the high water mark in this case, which is why there is a reduction from 21.3 to 0 in the case of the front yard and 30 to 29 in the case of the high water mark. The property does not include the actual shoreline. The existing dwelling is 106 square meters in size, and the property is developed with a detached garage and shed. The existing dwelling is currently set back 26 meters from the high water mark of Cashabog Lake, while the proposed redeveloped dwelling would be fully outside of the 30-meter setback from the shore, save an attached deck that would be at least 29 meters from the shore. An overall improvement to the existing shoreline condition is therefore proposed through this development. Upon circulation to the Crow Valley Conservation Authority for comment, a request for deferral was made by the Conservation Authority to provide them with time to confirm the floodplain elevation as it applies to the property, and to provide the authority time to make required decisions regarding this application and to confirm the floodplain elevation overall. We are currently recommending deferral of this application to the October 15th Committee of Adjustment meeting. By deferring this file to the October committee meeting, we will then have time to review the Conservation Authority's comments and determine if any natural hazard or flooding information needs to be considered with respect to the proposed development as it currently stands. So as such, it is our recommendation that this application be deferred today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Alicia. We have a recommendation from the planner, but is the applicant or agent present with us today?
The applicant and agent is present.
And are you okay with the recommendation from the planner?
We've been in communication with the Crow Valley Conservation, and we've been supplying all the information to them. And there's a irregular floodplain that actually cuts across part of this Ministry of Natural Resources, Crown land. I've questioned Crow Valley on why there's such an irregular floodplain when that floodplain cuts right across the neighboring location of their existing dwelling. And I haven't heard anything back as of yet. We've moved the proposed building back compared to the current existing building. We don't see that there's any issues with the floodplain at all being in any consideration of we're raising the building even out of the ground compared to the existing building. So we're waiting to hear back from Crow Valley, and I'm expecting any kind of communication this week. We've supplied the information to them regarding the distance from the irregular. I don't know if Ashley can pull up a site plan that we submitted through the surveyor, and also our site plan from our architectural designers. But we do show that it's quite irregular. And then the neighboring house, it cuts right through their house. So if we don't have any issues with it being so far back from that floodplain, we've met the 30-meter setback beyond the shoreline. And I understand that the Crow Valley Conservation is also reviewing the 100-year floodplain because it's obviously changed since they've designated it over 100-year floodplain level. So my clients are planning to build, and deferring it over another month till October will actually put us into November after the 21-day approval period, 21-day appeal period. And then we're going to be right into frost getting in the ground, trying to build the foundation. So I'm not in favor of that, and I'd just like to get Committee of Adjustments comments.
Okay, thank you for that. Alicia, do you have anything to comment on? Sorry, what was your name again, sir?
Kirk Figuera.
What Mr. Figuera had to say?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to thank Kirk for his comments. I do have a site plan that I can pull up for his request if I have the committee's permission, just to give some context that might be helpful. So I will try playing that up now. Here we are.
It's actually pulling that up. I just want to also mention that from where the proposed development is going to be taking place, it does slope away. So I don't know if there's a depression in that area that they are referring to as a, can I approach the screen?
Sure, go ahead.
On which side?
Every later.
Favorable, but this is the one that they're in question here, is this little irregular portion. This is the floodplain right here that we've got the building moved back. There's a dotted line here where the existing building was. So this is the front part of the existing building, and then we've moved the building back. There's deck here. We've kind of just moved, there's a point of the deck there, and there's stairs there. So we can also move that back. This is the regular floodplain. This is the shoreline. So the shoreline moves away here. This is existing dwelling. So if that floodplain cuts right across, this is the shoreline. This is existing dwelling next door. We're further back than this existing dwelling. I'm questioning conservation, irregular floodplain here, and I'm waiting for their answer. They're waiting for the response. They've been out to site. They've been talking to the clients. They didn't feel that they had any concerns with the distance from the high water mark to the dwelling, but it's that irregular floodplain that I'm kind of questioning. Why is it there? So I'm waiting to hear back from them. They've been supplied with all the information, all the detailed measurements from the high water mark to this proposed building. So if we defer it and they answer this week, and all of a sudden I'm waiting till next October, I don't know if there's something, or sorry, next month for October. I don't know if there's something that can be done that in the 21-day appeal period, that if we don't have an answer, then it gets deferred. Thank you.
Alicia, just before you go on there, I think Mayor Martin had something he wanted to add.
That's okay. That'll, we can address that.
Okay, Alicia, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Thank you very much, through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so we did receive the CBCA's comments very recently. Previously, they I would tend to agree, although I was not there with any of the applicants or the CBCA. What I gather is that there was an understanding of where that floodplain elevation was. There's now some internal more research to be done by the CBCA to determine the exact extent of that floodplain elevation. They have informed us that they will be having a board meeting. I believe it is this week. I was just trying to find, prior to sharing my screen, the date of that meeting where they will convene, confirm the floodplain elevation, and then we'll be able to provide more accurate comments. So I also just did want to sort of clarify the appeal period, if I may. With this being a committee of adjustment application, a minor variance, the appeal can only be submitted by very specific parties or persons as identified in the Planning Act. So the applicant may appeal the decision of the committee, as well as a variety of other specified persons, often being like electrical authorities or other sort of utility providers, or the identified specified persons. So if the committee did move to defer the application today, the applicant could appeal that decision for deferral. I am also aware that the previous township planner had been in a lot of consultation with the applicant. And so I don't think from a planning perspective at this point we have any concerns, but there will also need to be a permit issued by the CBCA, I expect. So by moving to approve today, there would still need to be that that figured out at the CBCA's end regardless, I guess is what I would say. So if the CBCA doesn't have an answer today, they likely will in a week or two. And then at that point, we can come forward with a different recommendation, I expect. I hope that provides some context. Yeah.
So just for clarification, or is it all we're waiting on is the okay from the CBCA? in terms of the floodplain?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, as far as we are concerned from the planning department perspective, we would like to have that natural hazard information from them specifically. Otherwise, that's all that I can say that I am waiting for to provide a recommendation.
Okay, and you've recommended deferral. Is there a way we could approve with the condition that it doesn't go ahead until we get approval from the CBCA, or is it better just in terms of governance here? What would you suggest the best way moving forward would be? We're trying to help the applicant out here, obviously, to get things going, so.
Of course, and through you, Mr. Chair, as far as I guess process or governance goes, I would defer that to the clerk. But what I would say is that we are providing a recommendation for deferral today, and I think that's as far as I can sort of further clarify comments, just because it is also our responsibility to make sure that there's no flooding hazards and that the development goes forward safely.
Thank you for that. I wasn't trying to back you into a corner there. So.
Oh, that's okay. I understand. Thank you.
Mayor Martin, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm gonna look to our CDO, but I would think for today, we could pass it with the recommendation that's before us. And the permit won't be issued unless CBCA clears up their part of it, because one of the parts of the recommendation is the CBCA approve it. So I don't know why we couldn't pass it today with the recommendation that no permit will be issued until CBCA passes their part of it. I don't know, Travis, if you can.
So through you, Mr. Chair, if it's a condition, it's always a condition that Crow Valley approval is required first, and Crow Valley is considered applicable law under the building code. So I cannot issue a building permit until we have their approval. So that may help the applicant out if that's, as long as Alicia is able to say it represents good planning.
I just want to make a note that I've been communicating with the planning department, right from the onset, probably since about May, doing the pre-consultation, communications through the pre-consultation, submitting further information, site plans, surveys. Also, they had recommended that we go with a minor variance because the client is in the process over the last year and a half of purchasing the owned Crown property that's in front of us, but it takes time with the Ministry of Natural Resources to come to the table and then approve the purchase. It's a small amount, but it's just that they don't have the staff to process that in an expedited way. So we've been communicating, and I understand this is just a minor thing. It's obviously a Ontario Building Code issue that we'd have to get approval through the conservation approval. And we've been working with them. We've paid the $1,085 permit fee weeks ago. They've been out to the site. They didn't see any issues. And then the floodplain irregular line came up. So supplied them with all the information weeks ago. We're just waiting to hear back. And I would appreciate it if it was approved under the condition of hearing back from the conservation approval that we didn't have any issues with the floodplain level. Like they're going to be meeting in regards to adjusting that, I believe. That's all I guess I'd have to give input on. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
So Alicia, would that work, that if we were to pass this with the recommendation that the Crow Valley has to come back, like that's always a part of it anyway. So I just rather than hold it up for a month until next time we have minor variances come forward, it would let it carry on through the process, and the permit won't be issued until this is cleared up with CBCA anyways. So does that work at all, or do we have to defer it? Is that your recommendation still?
Through the chair, totally up to you, of course, in terms of what you move forward with. The only consideration I would suggest, because otherwise this process does make sense in terms of we would require the permit anyway, or sorry, Travis would require that permit in order for him to provide his permit. The only concern I would have moving forward is in the event that the CBCA does come back and there has been a change to the flood elevation and they are not supportive of a permit, then there may be some other design reconsiderations on the applicant's part, and then they might have to come back in for a different approval on our end if they have to then set the the cottage back further, or perhaps, move it to another lot line closer. So it would just avoid further potential redesign if it was deferred today. But at the same time, to your point, the permit needs to be provided by the CVCA regardless.
And I totally understand, because if we did pass this today, basically you would have to pay again to do another application, where if it's deferred, we can still work with the application, is the way I understand it. It will hold you up, but the other side of it is, if we pass this as it is today and CVCA comes back and says they want you to move this over another 20 feet, that's another application and another payment, where deferral would that be right, Travis, or?
So through you, Mr. Chair, I guess depending on where it was going to be relocated, as long as it's covered within this minor variance now, the setbacks, then it could fall under this application. If he had to shove it farther to a side yard, then it would be asking for something else, so it'd be another application anyway. So I would say that would be at the applicant's risk if it's his request to move forward today.
Could you move forward with the condition of the approval and have that, or you can't do that? I would prefer that we move forward with the approval, because there's not much place of wiggle room based on the driveway, based on a well. And we can work with the conservation approval and maybe doing something with that floodplain elevation, if it is a concern, by retaining wall or something like that around that irregular line. So again, they're going to be readjusting the floodplain elevations from my understanding, and they didn't want to disclose any of that information to us. They just said, we're having a floodplain meeting regarding all floodplains. So that might be just a moot point. So a moot point, I'd like to proceed, because we have so many people lined up. We've been almost a year in preparing all this to make sure that we have our contractors work ready for fall. And if there's going to be a delay, there's going to be a delay one way or the other. So it's another $1,000 or whatever it is for a minor variance in time. It's either time now or time later. So I'd rather move forward.
Just one follow up there, that I am on the Crow Valley too, and is, when they adjust floodplains, it could be worse instead of better. Just keep in mind that it might not get better, it might get worse when they start readjusting these things to the current time. But but the only thing is, I can make a motion, whether it gets carried or not, it's another story, to do this. But just as long as you understand that if there is some adjustments here, it's a new application again.
We can adjust it. We can do a new application.
So through the chair.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, Alicia, I wanted to ask you, our CBO said he was okay with it if we went ahead with conditions, as long as the planners suggested it was good planning. Would you say this is a good planning if we move ahead?
Through the chair, I would confirm that from a planning perspective, other than understanding that floodplain elevation and natural hazard planning concerns are met. However, I would also state that natural hazards and flooding issues are also a planning consideration. So I can't speak further to the moving forward of the floodplain elevation information not being present. I would feel more comfortable if we had that information up front, but at the end of the day, if the applicant is content to perhaps resubmit, understanding that there may be some redesign going forward, I'm not concerned that poor planning would result, because if the CVCA had a concern, they would not provide a permit. I guess perhaps that's the better way of saying it. I'm not concerned that something will move forward that isn't permitted or that would be dangerous. So
Thank you for clarifying that, Councillor Clement.
Through you, Chair, I have a question. So is the majority of the floodplain in Crown land
Yes,
where he's looking to purchase?
yes. And the floodplain distance that they were looking at from that irregular portion was to the deck, not to the building. So we've got 19.27 meters from that floodplain to the corner of the deck, not to the building.
Okay.
So if 30 meters is a setback and we're at 19.27, it's this is where they're referring to right here from this point. This floodplain, they wanted a distance here to the deck. So we're 19.27 meters.
Where's the crown land?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Where's-
This is all crown land.
Crown land.
This is all crown land that they're in the process of purchasing and then. Ministry of Natural Resources didn't have any problems, just said they're taking their time. And it's like $1,500 to purchase it, so it's not a lot of money.
It's Councillor Doherty, go ahead.
Through Chair, where is 75 on that map?
Where's 75? You mean the road, 75 north?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
If you scan that down. It's way back. So this is the private driveway and 75 is way back in there. 75N.
So to the top of the map, then, does that mean that behind them is crown land as well?
No, it isn't. It's just crown land on the water.
Okay, so who owns the land behind it then?
I'm not entirely sure.
So they don't own it.
They own right to here. That's their property right there. And there's an existing garage, 1.5 story garage there. And we're trying to plan this also, again, septic's back there. We're moving everything back away from the waterfront. We're improving. We met the forecast of the minor variance. It's just that irregular floodplain that they're concerned about. And I don't know why it's like that. It just looks.
Well, it's neither on a road or it's not on water.
I'm sorry.
Well, the property, it appears like it's landlocked.
No, it's all, there's all property around. We've just kind of given our section of what the survey has.
I realize there's all, sorry, through Chair, I realize there's land all around it, but who owns the land? It's accessibility is that I'm.
It's accessibility from 75N, which is one of the fire routes, and then into the private lane. So 75N is beyond that, the back part of their property.
All right.
They own the back part of their property.
Thanks, Mr. Fregola. So we had quite a discussion here, a couple of options on the table. So I'll open up to the committee, in terms of how we'd like to proceed with this application. Anyone? Councillor Flagler, go ahead.
Just have one question about the deferral. If we defer this today and the CB report comes Friday, can the process continue for the client, or does he have to come back to a council to have it approved?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the applicant, the application would move forward again to the next committee of adjustment meeting. So we would sort of do a similar thing that we're doing today, but I would provide a different recommendation, chances are.
Right, and can that be done at the first Tuesday of October, or is it just the third Tuesday? Like, when are these planning reports
I'm
brought out?
sorry to cut you off, but I'll ask the CEO, maybe you could comment on that.
Through you, Mayor Martin, yeah, or rather, Mr. Chair, excuse me. Yes, we could bring this to the first meeting in October if necessary.
So that's 2 weeks.
Councillor Fregola, does that make a change at all, or?
If it's the first meeting and there's not like another 21-day appeal period, that's fine with us.
Because of 21 days after.
Yeah. Which I'll have to submit for the permit after that 21-day appeal period. Yeah. So you're thinking 1st of October or second, or
The next meeting is the 1st of October.
Yeah.
I'd approve that.
You okay with that?
So we have a couple of recommendations. I believe.
Sorry to take up so much time, everyone.
No, thank you. We want to get this straight, so we only have to do it once. Alicia, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I just want to confirm, based on my understanding of the Planning Act, I just want to confirm we would not be able to take away that appeal period. Even if it did move forward to a closer meeting, that's just a statutory Planning Act 20 days. But again, I would just confirm that it would only be for the applicant or those specified persons, again, mostly being those utility folks. Though I do understand it's still a time frame issue that the applicant is concerned with. So I just wanted to make that part clear.
Thank you for clarifying that, Alicia. So, committee, are we prepared to make a motion now? Mayor Martin, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'd make a motion that we defer this to the first meeting in October to gather the rest of the information and then bring it back then. One way or the other, we can decide that day.
Okay, we got a motion from Mayor Martin. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Doherty? Comments or questions? All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much.
So move on to our fourth application for this morning. Walter, you should go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you, the next minor variance application being discussed today is for file number A-12-24. The application was submitted by property owner Michael Walter for the property municipally known as 247 Cashabog Lake Water Access Only. The property is in the Methuen Ward, is identified as Part Lot 9, Concession 8, and roll number 1531-010-009-11200. The property is 0.4 hectares, which is just over an acre, is zoned seasonal residential, and is designated shoreline. The purpose of this minor variance application is to permit a frame shed with additional vertical storage space located in the front yard and water yard of the property, thereby having the effect of reducing the required front yard setback from 21.3 meters to 20.9 meters, reducing the required setback from the high water mark from 30 meters to 20.9 meters, and increasing the permitted height of an accessory structure from 4.5 meters to 4.6 meters. The applicants are proposing to locate a 100 square foot shed on their property for storage purposes. The Crow Valley Conservation Authority has confirmed that they have no objections to the variance as proposed. However, a permit from the authority will be required. Staff are in receipt as of just late yesterday afternoon of one public comment submission related to this file. And township staff has expressed that it is their opinion that the application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance, is in keeping with the provincial policy statement, and meets the intent of the growth plan of the Greater Golden Horseshoe. As such, it is township staff's recommendation that the application be approved with the conditions in the staff report. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the report. Alicia, is the applicant or agent present with us today?
Yes, I am present, Michael Wolfer.
Did you have anything to add, Mr. Walter?
No, I just wanted to appreciate the council for hearing this. And I'm really happy that the notes on the application that they were amended to the proper dimensions. Thank you so much, Elisa. I appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Walter. Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Second time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition of this application? None. Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in favor of the application? Second time, anyone in favor? Third and final time, anyone in favor? Hearing none, I'll open up to the members of the committee for questions or comments. Just to remind everyone, I think Alicia referred to it, we did receive one letter from Mr. McLaren. Few questions about it, but I think Alicia spoke to that in terms of it's been looked at by staff and they're okay with what's going on there. So anyone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Clement.
Through you, Chair. Sorry, we should just clarification. It's a 10 by 10, 2-story shed. That's all it is.
For you, Mr. Chair, yes.
Oh, I'll pass.
Councillor Clement.
Yes, I'll pass the motion, accept it.
So we have a motion to approve from Councillor Clement. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Mayor Martin, a second. Any comments or questions on the motion? If not, all in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much. We'll go on to the fifth and final report. Thomas. Go ahead, Alicia.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, the next minor variance application being discussed today is file number A-14-24. This application was submitted by DM Wills on behalf of property owner Kirk Thomas. The property is municipally known as 9,351 County Road 30, is located on Part Lot 3, Concession 9, and has a rule number being 1531-010-001-02100. The property is nearly 2 hectares, which is therefore nearly 5 acres. The property is zoned local commercial 1 zone and is designated rural. The applicants are seeking to add a self-storage facility to the existing property, which is a permitted use. As part of this application, a reduction to the parking requirements of the zoning bylaw is requested. The applicants are seeking to reduce the required parking from 72 parking spaces to 2 parking spaces. The proposed self-storage facility is not anticipated to generate significant traffic or generate parking demand. The self-storage facility is meant to be an autonomous experience for users of this service, meaning that they will not often park and stay for long outside of being in the drive aisle of their specific self-storage locker, just based on general understanding of how self-storage facilities work. Therefore, the 72 parking spaces that would be required by the zoning bylaw, which I would like to clarify is based on the ground floor area of all of the self-storage lockers and garages proposed, which is why it would generate such a high number of parking spaces, because it's all based on ground floor area. That would result in an excess of parking. To locate 72 parking spaces on the site would be unnecessary and unfeasible, and that is why staff are recommending approval of the reduction to the parking spaces through a minor variance application. I would like to also reiterate that the self-storage facility is a permitted use, and the reason the minor variance application was required was that through the technical review of the site plan control application, staff noted the parking deficiency, and accordingly DM Wills provided a planning justification for the reduction, and a traffic brief was also provided. That traffic brief was actually also previously provided as part of the site plan control review, which included the County of Peterborough Roads Department, because the subject site is on a county road. So the application has been circulated to the County of Peterborough, and the County of Peterborough was present during the pre-application meeting for the site plan control review as well. It is my professional opinion that the application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance, is in keeping with the provincial policy statement, and meets the intent of the growth plan of the Greater Golden Horseshoe. As such, it is my recommendation that the application be approved with the conditions included in the staff report.
Thank you very much. Once again, Alicia, is the applicant or agent present with us today? So is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Second time, anyone wishing? Oh, great.
When was the approval done for the actual business to be put in? We were never told about this until the parking came up. So as a
Yep.
person on the other side of the road, we were not
Yeah,
told.
I know who you are, but could you state your name? Just
Yvonne Krabby.
Yvonne. Thank you. Go ahead. I don't have an answer to that. I'll look to Alicia. Do you have an answer?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. So I cannot speak to any approval of the business. That would be a licensing requirement. What I can state is that the self-storage facility in the local commercial zone is a permitted use. So there would be no, generally speaking, no planning application required to permit it, other than a site plan control application, which the township is requiring because it is a commercial use, and there are issues like circulation and parking involved in it. So there was no need for an approval per se, other than this application to reduce the parking on site. And site plan control is a it is not a public sort of facing planning act application in the same way that perhaps a zoning bylaw amendment or a minor variance application is.
I have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my other question would be, is the township aware of the amount of accidents that happens on a yearly basis in front of that particularly house? And how is this going to affect us with more traffic coming in and out? You're saying that it isn't going to be an issue with that many people coming in, But if you have 9 self-storage units, more people are definitely going to use our road. We already have accidents. There were 2 just last year and from the school buses in front of that particular house. Is that not a concern?
Alicia, did you hear all that? Could you? Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And through you, I cannot speak to any awareness of previous accidents or collisions on that road. What I can speak to is that through the pre-application process for the site plan control, the county roads department, who would be the sort of the review authority for the road, because it is a county road. They have been made aware of the application and they requested a traffic brief that would speak to based on the use, the location, and the sort of general traffic that already exists on that road through a series of calculations and the engineer's professional opinion. They did not see any concerns with the addition of that use on the property where it is permitted.
Okay, thank you.
thank you for that. Sir, yep, are you wishing to speak in opposition? Go ahead, could I get your name first?
My name's Craig Bastaraba, and I own adjacent to the property there. I may be, I'm looking at your map and it's really tiny to understand all the stuff there. It looks like they're about 100 by 30 feet wide, there's 9 units, is that correct? Is there 9 units, 100 by 30 feet wide, give or take? Sorry, the drawing was very small, so I couldn't even read it even with glasses.
Through the chair, I'm going to bring up the site plan and we can zoom in and take a peek if that is amenable to the committee. And through the chair, I would agree that it's very detailed site plan, so I understand that.
I think there is 9, Mr. Brasser.
Pardon?
I think there is 9. I've got it here, but she'll bring it up there.
I just wanted to confirm through you, Mr. Chair, as well, the size of the units.
Okay.
As I believe that was part of the question from the member of the public there.
We're turn the speakers on.
Through the chair, can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
So I will try to zoom in here. And that didn't seem to work. I will zoom in and let you know the exact dimensions on my screen rather than sharing. I believe my computer did not like that. So yes, the units, there are 2 different sizes being proposed. There are 9 to confirm, and through the chair, some of the units are 30.6 meters in length, and some of them are slightly narrower at 9 meters in sort of width, while the others towards the rear of the property are 10.8 meters in width at that same 30 by 6 meters in length. So the smallest of the containers are 275.4 square meters in size, while the larger towards the rear of the property are 330.5 square meters. There are 3 of the larger sort of facilities, and there are, of course, 6 of the other smaller ones.
So I guess the biggest concern is, I guess they're using probably 90% of the property for the storage units, because right now there's tree lines on both sides, there's houses all the way around. And through your drawing, so I'm taking, there's probably gonna be 150 storage units in there, if they're dividing, well, like 15 by 10, 10 by 5, whatever, plus the storage units on the back seem to be about 20 spots for whatever they want to store. So again, with them creating it and not seeing the proposal, whether it's gravel or asphalt, my concern is really just the perimeter of the property. I understand, like, again, you can't change the zoning, it's already there, so they're good to do this. What I'm saying is, what proposal have they said to create a barricade around for all of it, like the 2 houses beside it, when there's 180 storage units driving in and out at least once a month? They were saying there's only 9. There's a lot more traffic going into that building than what people are anticipating. There's RVs probably gonna be stored there. There's all this which again, it's their prerogative to do it. It's a good idea. Wish I would have thought of it, or I have thought of it, being next door. But again, I just want to know what kind of provision are they doing to create a closed environment, like a chain link fence with barbed wire really doesn't cut it for driving in and out. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of problems. My friend owns a storage unit in another city. There's a lot of problems with storage units there. The monitoring, I'm sure they're gonna have monitoring and stuff, but again, I just couldn't read without my glove, like to see what perimeter, what are they doing for a perimeter? Are they just putting blocks around it? Are they gonna close it in by a 6-foot boarded fence, a steel fence? So that's the real concern I only have, is what kind of perimeter are they doing to kind of encase the storage units to save the horse farm next door and all the other stuff, because a lot of people will start looking across and seeing what they can. We live in a society where, again, theft is very, and what I own is I don't want people sneaking through the back way into the store or stealing something out of the property, because we have millions of dollars worth of inventory in the store and around this facility that I don't want to be more worried about it right now, because it's been great right now. We haven't had any problems. So I'm just concerned 180 people driving in that building without having it closed in so they can't visually see into the property. So that would, all I would really ask is, because it seems like we can't do much now because they've already got it set up, they're approved of it. But what is the fence there that they have proposed?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Razrab. Alicia, is there a fence there, or is, to Mr. Razrab's point, is there planned to be some kind of a buffer zone put around this property in terms of?
So through the chair, I can provide, it seems to be letting me share my screen now, so I can provide some more context. There will be as required by the zoning bylaw, a planting buffer surrounding here, because there is an existing residential use, which is illegal non-compliant. Actually, I believe it is a permitted use, rather, sorry, in the commercial zone. So there is a planting buffer that comes around this side here. And the reason that it has been demonstrated on this site plan as part of the minor variance application is because it's demonstrating zoning conformity or compliance. There will be further review through the site plan control process. So I'd like to clarify that the site plan has not been approved yet, and we are still in technical review. So as far as further buffering and fencing, that can be continue to be incorporated in this discussion. I can confirm that there is a gated access being proposed here. And there's also, because there's going to be some, obviously, yes, more or less rather vegetation on the site as a result of putting this use here. There's now going to be a stormwater management facility to manage any additional storm runoff that would occur. So there's going to be more of a naturalized area. You can see some rock berm that's being proposed. And I believe here is sort of demonstrative of existing vegetation on the neighboring property. So at this point, through the minor variance application, this is what we have as far as what's going to be proposed, and currently I can confirm that it's all that's required in terms of demonstrating compliance with the zoning bylaw. So there may still be opportunity to discuss fencing at the site plan control stage and further sort of sheltering of the use.
Thank you very much for that explanation.
So that really does nothing for us. Basically, they can walk through back and forth no matter what. Like, again, if you look at that property with the two little houses there in the front lower left-hand corner, there's a family that lives in the one, there's an older gentleman lives there. And then I have that property going straight down. We have the snowmobile club that has a building there that they store their unit there and they run out there. So that area is going to be wide open. I understand there's the ponds and stuff. I understand all that stuff. But at the end of the day, they're going to clear cut everything. They're going to put all these units in. There needs to be some, again, my recommendation again, is there's got to be some type of privacy fence along, I would hope at least on my side, so that they're not seeing everything and being able to walk right across. It just seems like it's just 200 people walking in and out of that place going to the back of the property, where before they would have to go through our gates and move around where there's signs saying do not go. All of a sudden now that you're allowing that many people to travel halfway down our property to look around and see what else they can do there without any type of barricade around for them to go. It's just.
Understood. To that point, you kind of made the point, Alicia. I wanted to ask, You said this might come up when the site plan application comes forward. Is this something that might better be dealt with at that point than now, or
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes.
clarity?
There, yeah, I'm happy to provide that clarity. So, and I hear the concerns of the member of the public, and I can confirm that through the minor variance application, the fencing is not best dealt with through there, but through the site plan control application, there will be continuous technical review where things like fencing are going to be continued to be discussed. This is now a registered public comment, so it is something that staff can request that the applicant consider on the property in accordance with the site plan control bylaw. It's just not at this particular meeting and through this application to reduce the parking that we are able to deal with that today.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I have one quick question about that. Yeah. Will we be able to come back to another meeting to discuss fencing, monitoring, all these possibilities at some point, or as people that live on that road, do we have absolutely no say?
Alicia, go ahead.
Through the chair, and I'm happy to have if the CAO the correction for me, but I believe and have like this site plan control application stage and the approval of that, it is a staff delegated procedure. There is no public meeting associated with a site plan control application approval or any sort of review for it. So this is the opportunity if you have public comments and that you would like to have them considered moving forward through that staff delegated technical review at the site plan stage. I would definitely encourage you to keep giving comments that can be incorporated later.
Thank you for that. So just for clarification, they said we've received your comments, they'll be noted, and moving forward, staff will have all and Mr. Bazaraba's comments to move forward. So they're on the radar in terms of that. To her point, we're probably not gonna have another public meeting, but we will be able to deal with it internally. So
We'll have absolutely no say, even though we are concerned about the amount of theft that is already there, including at that house. There has been thefts in the recent time frame, the last 3 months. No concern for Dunford's property or our whatsoever, or our property. We have absolutely no feedback whatsoever. Is that the clarification?
Alicia?
Through the chair, the discussion today is solely on the parking, so I cannot speak to something that isn't a planning consideration, a land use planning through this meeting. But like I said, I'm hearing the concerns and the comments, and they will be taken back and incorporated as part of our site plan control review with the applicant and all of their professionals that are assisting this.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So any comments here today? I don't know where I got left off, but I think I'll start with the second time for, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? Fine. Second time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? Hearing none, I'll open it up to the members of the committee for comments or questions. Councillor Doherty.
Through your chair, I think 2 parking spots for that many units. Are they not going to have any staff? It's all going to be done by card access. There's no supervision, so nobody's going to be on site. 2 parking spots for that many units, I think it's undersized.
Any other members with comments? I think there's a number of issues that have come up around this application. I'm the chair, but I still have questions in terms of myself, so I'll speak for myself. I look to maybe have someone make a motion to defer this so we can have staff or have another look at this and maybe get a little bit more input from the public, because this is the first time hearing about this, especially from the public side of it. So does any member want to make that motion? Councillor Clement?
I definitely.
Motion to defer,
Definitely to defer.
and second by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience. So that Thank you very much, Alicia, for all your reports today. I'll now take a motion to adjourn the public meeting and return to our regular council. Meeting. By Mayor Martin, seconded by Councilor Flagler. All in favor? Passed.
All right then. So we're back into the regular meeting, and we're gonna move into planning report. And the first planning report we have here is ride severance. So Alicia.
Thank you, Mayor Martin, and through you, there is, yes, one application for consent being discussed today, and it is labeled file number B-67-24. This application is submitted by Stephen and Timothy Rye for the purposes of creating one new lot for residential development. The property is municipally known as 71 Fire Route 94, part lot 14/15, in section 8. And the new lot would be identified as roll number 1531-010-009-21700. The current land holding is 1 hectare, being over 2.6 acres with frontage on Cashbog Lake. As proposed, the sever lot would be 0.56 hectares in size with 46 meters of frontage on Cashbog Lake. The proposed size and frontage of the retained and severed lands meet the provisions of the applicable seasonal residential zone and the official plan policies that apply to shoreline designated lands. The township zoning bylaw does require that where there is residential development proposed on seasonal residential zone lands, that development must be set back at least 150 meters away from any adjacent quarry or lands zoned extractive industrial or extractive industrial holding zones, which are identified as M2 and M2-H in the zoning bylaw. And the proposed severed lot is within 150 meters of within that setback to land zone for such use in extractive industrial use. Therefore, staff are requesting that the County of Peterborough, which is the approval authority for this lot creation, include a condition as part of the county level recommendation to approve the consent, if that were the recommendation, that a zoning bylaw amendment be applied for and approved at the township level to recognize the reduction to that setback that would be required. The site is also proximal to fish spawning habitat. Therefore, an environmental impact study was conducted to ensure that future residential development proposed on the site would have no negative impacts on the fish spawning area. And the study confirmed that as long as recommended mitigation measures are complied with, the residential development can move forward on the proposed lot without negative impact to these lands. Township staff has expressed that it is their opinion that the application meets the 4 tests. Oh, I apologize. I've got some former notes on here, so I will confirm that township staff has expressed that it is their opinion that a zoning bylaw amendment be required as part of a condition. If this is going to be referred to the county and with council's endorsement that the applications be approved.
Okay, thank you, Alicia. So we do have a recommendation here. What's council's thought?
Motion to approve. Or
Motion to endorse.
the recommendation.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb and second by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, the next item here is a purchase of an unopened road allowance. Alex, you want to take that one?
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So this morning, we provided another sketch that Madam Deputy Clerk could bring up on the screen, please. It just shows the unopened road allowance in red. You can see that the unopened road allowance leads from water to water and access via Fire Route 23A. This report request was previously in front of council on January 17th, 2023, with the request to purchase the unopened road allowance. It was council's direction that staff attend the site and prepare a planning analysis. The owners of the property have explored a number of options to try and get a septic to fit on there. And you can see the other sketch in the report that shows that they own both adjacent parcels there, and you can see it on that one as well, the 2 in yellow. So it would be in their intent to merge the 2 if they are able to purchase the portion of unopened road allowance. And the sketch from EcoView Consulting shows that in order to fit the septic within the unopened road allowance and back 30 meters from the high water mark, it would actually extend beyond the back of their property a little bit as well. So that portion would first be offered to the abutting owners each side of that, so 33 feet each way. They would have first right of refusal. If the owners there decide they don't want it, then it would be eligible for these people provided counsel. Principle. So we attended the site, fire chief attended the site. They see no use for that from the municipality's perspective. So it's staff's recommendation that council receive the report and agree in principle to the request from the property owners to stop, up, close, and convey that portion of the unopened road allowance adjacent to part lot 19, concession 4, with assessment roll number 1531-010-006-57600. And further, the township staff provide the property owners with the necessary requirements in order to fulfill the stop, up, closing, and conveyance of the unopened road allowance adjacent to part 19. Session 4 with assessment roll number 1531-010-006-57600, and that the balance of this report be received. I believe the applicants are in attendance as well.
Okay, so with this here, Travis, we developed a policy years ago about selling off road allowances because someday they might be used. So in the policy, it states like if it's usable. And from what I understand from the report, this is like a cliff or something going to the water. It's not accessible, like as far as whatever future boat launch or beach or something like that. This is a piece of property that's not accessible.
Through Mr. Mayor, yes, it is. It's accessed through private road, Fire Route 23. So we would be going down private road even to get to it, and then it's a very steep access from there down to the open road.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for pointing that out. Unopened road allowances, but I'll make a motion that we approve the recommendation because I don't think, as I said, people will be using this road for access to Belmont Lake. So.
Okay, so that's moved by Deputy Mayor Webb that we endorse this. Second by Councillor Doherty. Any questions or comments? All in favor? And that's carried. Next item here is PLN report. That's going over to Alicia, or who's taking care of this thing?
Through the chair, through you, Mr. Mayor, sorry, I struggled to unmute myself there. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I will confirm that ARIA has prepared this planning report. So I am happy to answer any questions that council has or the public has regarding this report. I have reviewed it and I'm happy to provide any planning context on it. So really, I'm just here to be helpful if possible.
Okay, so are there any questions for Alicia?
Has Mr. Moran received a copy of this? Our response?
Yes, I think so, but was it sent out to Amber?
We can send it to them.
I would believe, yes.
Okay,
So I'll make a motion to receive with that staff with Mr. Moran and he's a copy of with questions. So
moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, second by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, thank you. And that's the end of the planning report. Trying to get the delegations here and then we'll take the break here. So the next item on the agenda is delegation. And our first delegation is Aqua with regard to hydrological study for the well 3. So Amber, are you gonna have, I don't know who's reporting. A detailed report.
Good morning, Deputy Mayor. Good morning, Mayor Martin, Deputy Mayor Hart, councillors and staff. As you may recall, in March this year, Aqua presented to council options for the well 3 system. It was a desktop feasibility study in determining if the new groundwater source was viable or if connecting to the Trent River is the best path going forward for the township. Today I have with me Kyle Horner, who is attending virtually, and Stu Dahlstra from Cambium. They've completed a very thorough study and will be presenting their findings. Following the presentation, Aqua would be recommending that this study be accepted and the recommendation be considered for 2025, either to proceed with major maintenance on well 3 or a potential new water source. So I'll introduce to you Stu Dahlstra, who's with me, and Kyle Horner virtually.
Okay. Oh, good morning, everyone. I just want to confirm, Kyle, you are on the line?
Yep, that's correct. I'm here.
Thank you, Mark, Kyle. So yes, as Amber mentioned, we did complete a desktop hydrogeological study for the Havelock-Belmont-Methuen small supply well. So today we'll just sort of go over the details. I understand you've all had a copy issued to you as well. That's correct. But the main point of the report was discussing installing a new municipal supply well and treatment plant near the water treatment or water tower property on Concession Street versus installing a surface water intake in the Trent River and connecting it to the well 3 treatment. So I'll pass it over to Kyle to go over the first portion of the study, which was related to the replacing the supply well.
Excellent. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for allowing us for the opportunity to follow up and present the findings from this investigation. As many on council will be aware, there's been persistent issues relating to water quality from the current municipal supply well number 3. There's been significant investment by the township to understand and resolve those issues. But unfortunately, despite these efforts, the problems have persisted. As a result of this, Cambium was requested to provide some technical assessments of the options that may be available should the ongoing operation of well 3 prove not to be feasible. As a hydrogeologist, my portion of this investigation was to look at the potential to locate a new water source within the Havelock area, which may be suitable for installing one or more new municipal supply wells, while also meeting a lot of the practical and operational restrictions of the municipality. If you can refer, please, to figure 4 on page 6 of the report. A key thing that I considered when looking at the options for where a new well might be located is the subsurface geology in the Havelock area. As you will be able to tell, generally, it's quite complex. All the different colors in that figure represent different types of deposits and formations. Some of them are from glaciers. Some of them are organic deposits that form all the marshes and wetlands that dot the area. But one of the noteworthy features on this figure is that narrow orange band that goes generally from the top center of this map down to the southwest towards Norwood. That feature is what's referred to as the Norwood esker. It is a very coarse layer of sands and gravels, and it is actually developed for the municipal water supply as the groundwater supply source for Norwood. So that feature has been demonstrated to, at least on the Norwood portion, provide sufficient quantities of water at treatable levels to meet municipal water demands for Norwood. Now, the feature does track back toward Havelock. If we look at figure 11 on, I'll just get the page number for you here. Figure 11 on page number 15, it's basically a zoom in of this figure so we can see it in a little bit more detail. What we see is that that orange feature is in fact present in the Havelock area. It may not be as extensive or as productive as it is in Norwood, but it has only been evaluated to a very limited degree in the Havelock area. And most importantly, there's a significant deposit of this layer in lands that are managed by the township right near the water tower. And so one of our recommendations as a way to evaluate whether this is potentially a viable water source, an alternative water source for the township, is to conduct an assessment of this orange layer area, this geological esker feature, by installing a test well on lands owned by the township. The financial exposure for installing and testing a well on like this is fairly modest. And we think it would be a good first step in potentially determining if this could be a new source of water, which is free from a lot of the issues that have been plaguing well number 3. By installing a new well in a different geological layer, the idea would be that a lot of the surface water impacts that are believed to be causing the issues in well number 3 would be mitigated. If that well location proved to be viable, there is the potential in the future, as the municipality grows, to continue to develop along that orange feature to the west, in order to provide water for future residents of the area.
So
Right, is he finished?
yeah, are you all finished there, Kyle?
Yeah, certainly. I'm very happy to take questions or elaborate on anything. But I think the key point is that we particularly think this geological layer will not experience the same issues that have been impacting well 3 because of the nature of the deposits. And the fact that a well can be installed at greater distance from some of the existing surface water bodies. So decreasing the likelihood that we would over time see the same issues that have developed at well 3.
Yeah, I have a question from Dr. Mayor Webb.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. You referenced that Norwood uses the esker for where they draw their water from in Norwood?
That's correct, yeah. There's I believe 4 or 5 wells in their municipal well field that's installed in the esker itself, right in the middle of Norwood.
So the expansion they did 5 to 10 years ago, that water's being drawn from the esker?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Because I've heard there's a lot of water.
Yeah, so it's and again, I think that the esker deposit is more extensive there. So I think it would be practical to start with one well to characterize the properties of the esker in the Havelock area, with the understanding that it may be sufficient for one well, but certainly the volume that they're seeing in Norwood might not necessarily be achievable from such a concentrated collection of wells. But there would be the potential if one well in the water tower area is productive, potentially to distribute more wells along the length of that esker, either north of Havelock or further to the west across the wetlands there.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's quite a lengthy report, and we have thrown a lot of money at well 3 to try and clear up the water. That's why we don't use it very much. So the recommendation here is to do some drilling and see what's there, and then bring back a report. Is that what I understand?
Yeah, that's the recommendation. We did take time to look at the Trent River source as an alternative, as it was suggested to us. So I can briefly talk to that. If there's no.
I just had one more question here from Councilor Doherty.
Through your chair. You mentioned the modest cost. What does that extrapolate into dollars?
So we have preliminary quote from a local
Yeah.
water drilling contractor, and it would be on the order of about $10,000 to $20,000 to install a test well. And then we would expect a similar or lesser amount for the investigation of that well itself. That would include an extended pumping test of the well in order to determine the rate that it can be pumped at, as well as detailed water quality sampling to understand the chemistry and water quality and treatability.
So follow up, if I may, Mr. Chair. So is that 10 to 20 cover those costs as well? Or is the 10, 20 just the wells and then the rest of the studies and pumping are in addition?
That's correct. Yeah, the latter scenario. So I would anticipate on the order of $10,000 to $20,000 to install the well. And then probably a lesser amount, but it would depend on what the testing requirements are under the surface water connectivity guidelines. The province is in the process of amending those. And so the newer guidelines are slightly more involved and would be a bit more expensive to accommodate. But if a well were installed, a detailed quote for the testing and reporting on that well could be provided closer to the day when the regulatory requirements are better constrained.
Thank you. Okay.
So the idea of Trent River,
Yeah. So the alternative solution that was brought forward would be drawing from the Trent River, which, as we know, is a few kilometers south of here. And speaking to a bit on the process for approvals. So as you know, obtaining a new supply source, whether it's a well or surface water, would require a Schedule C Class EA under the Environment Assessment Act. So the Trent River water quality, we reviewed that because there are other treatment plants that are pulling from the Trent River. So we reviewed those in comparison to what the Havelock treatment plant capacity is as well, not only by flow volume, but also by the water quality coming out. So the treatment plant comparison of treatment plant 3 versus the treatment plants that do pull from the river is similar. And that's simply because from a disinfection standpoint and a overall quality standpoint, that the water quality can be similar coming from both a well such as well 3, which is considered groundwater under the direct influence of surface water. So from a regulatory perspective, they have to have the same amount of treatment, and they do. The only real difference is the well 3 number plant doesn't have much redundancy in it. So it doesn't have much backup in the event that we do see certain fluctuations in water quality from a surface water source. So water quality can shift quickly and rapidly when there's certain, rainfall events, recreation events going on, that sort of thing that can really impact the water quality from a surface water source in a matter of moments, as opposed to a well, which is, even if it's under the influence of surface water, it's more secure from those rapid changes in quality. So that's one of the challenges with pulling from surface water. And then the other challenge is the distance. So we're dealing with 3.5 to 4 kilometers of pulling water and moving it up to the town. And that would be expected to be done, on road allowances and all the rest. And the other issue, of course, is the Trent River is outside the boundary of the township. So an arrangement would have to be made, property would have to be purchased to pull water from the river. So we need access to the river. We need to get an agreement with Trent Hills as well to make sure that they are willing and able to provide property and perhaps even construct on their property or on their side of the township line to build a treatment plant or at least a pumping station to pull the water up to the town. So that comes with quite a bit of cost as well as time. And then, of course, it's not typically done. So those agreements can take time as well between townships and municipalities. So I think to Kyle's point, I think our recommendation would be to pursue the test well at this point. And and proceed with the test well, and then we could report back with the results of that, the test well.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, so for today, you know, as much as we want to go with the recommendation, I think we're going to need a report back from staff on where we're going to get the funds from, whether we refer it to budget or if Lionel can bring something back at the next meeting, how the water reserve is standing. Maybe we can pull it from there, but for today, if we were to receive the delegation and look into and ask staff to bring us back a report on how we would fund this drilling these wells, I think that's all we could do for today, but I'm not sure. Do you have any other suggestions, Bob?
Nope, that would be fine.
Okay.
Can I make that motion?
Yeah.
And have it come back to the next meeting?
Okay, so moved by Deputy Mayor Webb that we bring it back to the next meeting on how we would fund this.
We just need a costing. And
Yeah.
But let's get.
Yeah, there might be money in the reserve already. We just don't know where we're at right now. So that's moved by Deputy Mayor Webb. Councillor Doherty, you're seconding that?
That's right.
Okay, any other questions or comments around it? All in favor? That's carried.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay, so we have one more 10-minute delegation. That's the third one's not coming today, so I'm gonna say that we will try and get through the delegation and then we take a break. So Diane Mack, you're scheduled
One of our directors. I don't have.
Okay, that's fine.
What meeting?
Sure. All right.
Good morning, Mayor and members of council. Thank you for the invitation to be here today. My name's Al Mack.
Just interrupt. I understand, Mr. Joel, that a concerned citizen sent you a letter regarding the historical society to be read today.
Yeah, it will be after.
Anyway, my name is Al Mack, and like many of us from the Historical Society are here, have been with the society since it was incorporated about 30 years ago. Joining me today is our folks, Betty Hagerman, our treasurer, Diane Mack, our president, and Mark Harris, our secretary. I'd like to provide a quick history of the society, then respond directly to the comments and discussions that occurred at your July 16th council meeting, and finally answer any questions council might have. So it's okay, I'll charge through this and then we'll have a question. Back in the early 90s, a group of volunteers began talking about the history of our community. That involved discussions about the need to retain and preserve historical knowledge, documents, artifacts, and buildings. Big focus at the time was what would become the treasured historical buildings in the community. Those being the town hall, the old post office, the former elementary school, train station, and Belmont-Methuen Municipal Office, or the Stone Hall. CPR was talking about selling the train station, and the municipality was discussing what to do with the town hall that required extensive maintenance. It became apparent that we needed to organize and formally become a recognized and legal entity. Volunteers drafted articles of incorporation, and an executive was elected and became official effective July 6, 1995. We had members of both of the municipal councils as registered members. That brings us to the name selected and the fact that we were planning to represent what was then two municipalities, the township of Belmont-Methuen and the village of Havelock. This all happened, of course, before the incorporation of the present municipality. The decision was to reflect history, and that meant starting with Belmont, which was the oldest. Methuen was the second oldest, and then the village of Havelock was established much later. So to answer Mayor Martin's question, what do they call themselves? We are the Belmont-Methuen and Havelock Historical Society. Since incorporation, we have, annually filed tax return forms with the federal government and responded to their inquiries. With this legal recognition, we were able to then be able to apply for grants, request, and preserve local artifacts, and lobby governments to consider and help with local historical preservation. After incorporation, the group focused on trying to find a way to preserve the train station, eventually make it into a historic museum. The first major fundraiser the society embarked on was the Rock and Rail Festival. It was quite successful with huge community support and participation. The society knew this was going to be an annual event. It was not going to be an annual event, and as we planned and delivered, we definitely knew we could not repeat it. At the time, though, a group of folks decided that the festival concept would continue under the banner Rock and Rail Festival. The Historical Society has carried on separately since then. During this time, the new municipality informally had supported the concept of a historical museum, and when it became clear that the train station would soon be in private ownership, it began to explore the ideas of town hall becoming a site for the museum. Discussions of costs ensued with the old building requiring a sizable investment that neither party could afford at the time. Eventually, council made an in-kind contribution to the society by offering a portion of the basement of the old town hall to store the artifacts. This was helpful, but was quite a damp space and it led to deterioration of certain items. With the Huckleberg daycare moving on from the library basement, a number of members of the then council suggested that the Historical Society should formally approach council about utilizing that space and moving from the basement of town hall. The society sent a letter to Reed Giroux and council on June 5th, 2018, asking for the space that Huckleberg was occupying. 5 years later, in 2023, we were advised that our request was approved. To be sure, we were very much appreciate the space that was provided, and with the superior work area compared to the previous spot, we have invested many volunteer hours going through our inventory of artifacts and printed and digital info and getting organized. Now to quickly visit the council's July 16th meeting. We each reviewed the public video record of that meeting on your website. We'd like to respond to various comments made during that meeting and questions asked. Deputy Reeve Webb was quite right in advising council that the Belmont-Methuen and Havelock Historical Society is not a committee of council. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for making yourself informed. We are not a committee in any way. As I said, we're nearly a 30-year-old registered nonprofit incorporated charitable organization. Secondly, Mayor Martin mentioned that he had approached members of our executive at a fundraiser earlier this summer. He told them that he told us, I guess, that council was drafting a bylaw to have the Historical Society become a committee of council. This comment came as a surprise to us. We then consulted the website, municipal website, and it seems the council may create, establish, and then if necessary, disband any committees of council. In a related point, we were recently given a copy of the terms of reference for the Heritage Committee of Council. More on that in a few minutes. During that 16th council meeting, a councillor stated that the society received public monies to exist, hold meetings. Thus, she believed we at the society are obliged to include a representative of the municipality on our board somehow, and that we need to answer to the municipality. I can assure we don't get any money from taxpayer money. And no one in our society gets money. Later, it was stated that we should be told that we need to produce to council any paperwork related to historical donations we have received now hold. This is related to a comment made that if there are artifacts that have been lent but not donated to the society, i.e. they're privately owned, they should not be stored in municipal property. It was also stated the municipality need to have control of the items. We find this position that council has taken a total surprise, and we encourage that we get into a fulsome discussion of these points to take place with us. Another comment was made at the meeting that an item belonging to former Reeve Giroux had went missing. This was the soccer trophy. This comment came during the discussion about who owned the items the society possessed. We double checked in our files, and then we had to talk with Mr. Giroux. He said it was a small wooden trophy that sat in his filing cabinet. Most definitely was not turned over to the Historical Society before he retired from council. Another comment was made responding to Deputy Webb's statement that he thought the society was using the entire basement of the library. The society was under the same belief in that we would be having control of the entire basement, as had the group before us. In response, someone stated that the whole basement was offered, but the society refused that and thus ended up with only 2 rooms had. So if I can, I'll try a little bit of background. Just prior to moving from the town hall, our president was moving from the town hall to the library, was invited to a meeting with municipal staff and with a number of folks from the library board. Unfortunately for us, we were not aware at that time, and not until we not until we recently researched council meetings, that in 2022, the library board had approached council about their getting the library basement. Until that meeting, we assumed that our letter of 2018 requesting that area had been approved. At this time, We were told the decision had been made that the space was to be shared with the library board. Our requirement at the time, as we stated, was we needed to have a secure place for the artifacts, and our understanding at the conclusion was that a library board member required an area in the main part of the genealogical activities. That was an excellent fit for us. However, when we were moving in, we were advised that only the back smaller rooms could be under control. While this news was disappointing, we did not return to the municipality for clarification. We were focusing on getting moved in and being able to enjoy a much superior environment. The need for secure area is huge for us. Matter of fact, we have lost artifacts when we've had displays at events like Celebrate Havelock. So we must be careful. Lost items included books of family history. We had prepared entire binders containing a great deal of research work and more. It is very important to us that folks know that when they donate historical treasures, that they will be safe and secure. Obviously, the reality of only having a limited secure space has impeded our ability over the last 18 months to spread out, create, set up permanent displays, and then organize inviting the public in. As you can imagine, the taking down, putting up, and moving items is time consuming and invites damage. In closing, to talk about the items we possess have either been donated by individuals, being acquired by our members at auctions, yard sales, and estate sales, or have been lent to us for displays with the understanding someone else owns them. Nothing we have is acquired with the understanding we were receiving on behalf of the municipality. We would encourage anyone who hears a person comment that they have concern about items donated that you tell us immediately so we can contact them and clear up any concerns. Now, as for the Heritage Committee terms of reference, we just recently received this and not spent a great deal of time going over and discussing it. We'd like to know more of how you see us coexisting and what model, perhaps the ones presently used by our three neighboring municipalities are being considered. Each one of those is different. We welcome an opportunity to talk to the municipality about this, about all of these matters. Thank you.
Thanks, Al. And yeah, I have a letter here to read into the minutes, and I do want to start off with thanking you for what you're doing here. You know, it wasn't maybe the right way to go about it as far as creating, we wanted to work together with you. For 2 years now, I've been trying to get a meeting together, but now in December, we're going into our new committees, and we really see it as being important to try and get this heritage stuff out there. You wouldn't believe how many people are interested in this stuff and want to see more of it. They look at our neighbors to the east and west of us and the process that they go through and sharing it online. Maybe that's what we'll end up doing as a township and just doing pictures, and you will continue with this, but I'm hoping, and this letter speaks to it, it's 100% of what we were trying to do. We need to work together on this and try and even with the terms of reference, they were just something we put together because we haven't been able to talk to you. And if we could get together with you, I think we need to be together on it because there is so many people want to see this stuff and it's so important for our community that and with it being in the basement of the library, people surmise that it is the township run thing because it's in our building. So it throws people off and when they're giving stuff to it, we have had people, and we will get those names if there's anybody that's given stuff to this that thinks it's given to the township when really it's giving to you people. Maybe they'll want to clarify it because what some of the other historical societies do is they have actually a piece of paper when somebody donates it, they check it off, kind of like the Legion does. And I've heard things around the Legion that they're going to Norwood because it's run better than the one in Havelock. I hate to hear that because we have a lot of stuff here that needs to be out there. So I'm going to read this letter, and I really think it hits the nail on the head as far as what we're trying to do here. And I'm hoping moving forward, we can work together. We can throw those terms of reference out and work together on something that works for everyone. And it's for the community. It's not for me. It's not for any of the council. It's not for you. It's for everyone to see this stuff and get exposure. So that's what I'm hoping. But
and we would welcome that. Like I say, we were plodding along, doing our thing and trying to as we look at trying to get some federal grants or something, they're constantly saying we need an absolute inventory. So we're spending all of our volunteer time putting together an inventory. So now I think we would welcome an opportunity to sit down. Let's see what you have in mind, how it's going to work. together. We're a little bit stuck, I guess, with it works a lot better if you can put up like the other 3 municipalities. Each one of them have a different, 2 of them have their own building. And the third one has a half of a building that they have secure control of, that you don't have to worry about the public coming and going. And we're not saying everybody steals stuff, but we just lost stuff. That's something I would like to stick it under their arm.
Exactly. So
Anyway.
I'll read this letter, and it was from Larry Ellis, and it wasn't in time for the agenda. So good morning, members of council, CAO, Angioni, and staff. I would like to talk to you this morning about the municipality's heritage. I would like to think that everyone sitting at this council table would consider family history or past attachments of our municipality important. I would also think council would want to preserve it and showcase and educate our residents, and as an economic attraction for visitors. Our ancestors were part of what was made HBM the great municipality that we have today. I would hope this council would want to preserve and show with pride what has been captured and saved. In recent years, the lower level of the municipal library became available. At that point, the council of the day authorized moving the Historical Society's valuable items from the basement of the town hall to the lower level of the municipal library. However, the Historical Society only have a small portion of that space, and many historical items are still stored because there's no room to display. I know that all municipalities in our surrounding areas have dedicated a facility for the Historical Society and have established a volunteer committee. Our community has been fortunate to have had a person who has devoted her life to preserving many artifacts and treasures. This caring individual has done this with very little help and without compensation for time or cost attributed to her work. She has even stored dedicated items in her home to preserve them. The municipality owes this person a great deal of gratitude. This person is Miss Diane Mack, better known as Diane, or Miss Mack, better known as Diane. To keep this Historical Society moving forward, that a committee of volunteers be established with the terms of reference. I'm sure all would agree that with what Diane has contributed, she would be asked to lead the volunteer committee out of respect and her knowledge and continuing work. The Historical Society would also be a committee of council, having a member of council attend and support the committee's needs. Number 2, that the proper facility with space to display all of what's stored. I know from talking with residents, many have historical items they would like to share with this municipality. Again, the need for the proper location and space to display and be proud of our community's history. I ask this council not just to invest in the future of our community, but also invest in preserving the past that we have done with like we have done with our town hall. I am confident council will respect our heritage and put forward a plan. It should be a line item in your next budget. The meaning of heritage is to inherit. Let's assure we preserve what we have inherited. So he hits the nail on the head. This is what we're trying to do. We're not the enemy. We're just trying to work. And some of the problems that you're having, as far as by having it a committee of council and having us involved in it, there might be opportunities for grants that we can help you with that. It's hard with a small committee, and I give you credit because there's no volunteers out there anymore. Most of the volunteers out there are pretty white-headed and not, there's not a lot of young people getting involved, but this is stuff that even young people are really interested in this stuff, and we just need to show it. So
we have been showing it.
Yeah, like
yeah, we've had over the years, we've done displays, worked with the schools, and that's kind of a hit and miss thing. The school, you mentioned that before at the last meeting, at the council meeting, that we have had some success with St. Paul's in Norway, wanting to have some of their classes involved. They did some art. We had the art in the park thing with their drawing or their paintings, I guess, a few years ago to celebrate Havelock. So we've done a few things. It's just kind of hard when you got to take it down, put it up. and most of this stuff is very old and brittle, and it doesn't stand up to that very well, so it limits how many times we can do that, but.
So I'm gonna open up the council, but all I'm saying is what I think we're trying to do here is we want to work with you. If we could make this committee a we thing, it's not the township. We need to work together, try and open this up and get it out there. And, you know, I'm sure there's council that would be willing to help, you know, and to get this rolling. But in terms of reference, we could sit down and go over them and see what suits you and what doesn't suit you. They were just something that we put together from the other municipalities around us. And it pretty well captured all that, but we are unique. So maybe we need some different wording in there, but that's the whole idea, I think, with the council and myself, especially that we just need to get this going. Like, you know, it's over the years, there's been so many people interested in this and you've done a great job. But we're just trying to expand it and get it out there more, especially since you're, you know, in our building there. The questions even come up differently than what they did. They didn't even know it was in the basement of the town hall hardly, but now it's out there.
Yes, and so, things like, you know, a website and all of those things are a thing we really need, but it's not money to create such a thing.
So, okay, I'm gonna open up the council here. Any questions? Go ahead, Kathy.
So through you, Mayor Martin, you guys are doing great. You need recognition. The other thing too, with our help, is the people who donate to you can also get recognition. Oh, you know, like the Smith family gave you this, and then you really do become community. You know, that's, I think, what the mayor's trying to say, that, I mean, we're definitely here to try to help. We'd like to help you.
Yes, we'd welcome sitting down and rather than us talking about you, you talking about us, or we sit down together and say, okay, let's sort something out and figure out a way that we can charge ahead is all we're interested in.
Yeah, we don't have time in taking over what you're doing there. We're just looking at working with you. You know, that's, you know, so. Go ahead.
Just through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you for your presentation today. I know how much you and Diane have contributed this, all your members have contributed to basically their taking of all this Havelock history or HBM history. I'd like to thank former Councillor Ellis for his comments. I thought, to your point, Mr. Mayor, they're bang on. This is the way we should have proceeded from the start. I apologize to you that that's not the way it went from the start, and it will be corrected. And we'll work together and try and put together the best historical society in the whole Peterborough County. How about that?
And we want
to do our neighbors. So instead of just trying to do what they're doing, let's be one up on them. So thank you, everybody, for coming today. Keep up the good work. That's all I can say, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, all right, for today, then I would suggest, yes.
Just a note, I really agree with working together, because last night I spoke to Sandra Caswell, and she's was up at the ROM in Toronto and found a quilt that was made by Stevens, and she is trying to do more history on it using the library in Havelock, because we don't have the genealogy program in Norwood. And and I just think that that's a small sample of working together, Havelock and Norwood, and it's not sports.
Yeah. So for today, if we receive the delegation and if we could set something up here in the near future, to get together with you, we can get a council person to, you know, meet with you, set up some stuff that would come back to the whole council to adopt, hopefully. So, okay, so a motion to receive the delegation moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, second by Councillor Doherty, all in favor, and that's carried. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna look for a motion that we take a 10-minute recess. Hopefully come back at 1:45. Yeah, I'm gonna look for a motion that we resume the meetings, moved by Councillor Doherty, second by Deputy Mayor Webb, all in favor, and that's carried. We're gonna move into, we have staff reports for information. There's 3 reports here. If there's anything you want to speak to, do it now, or we can get a motion to receive the reports. First one is Public Works, July and August. The second one was Building Department update. And the third one is Building Department update August. So there's no questions. I'll look for a motion to receive them. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb. Second. Councilor Doherty. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, the next item here is staff reports, follow-up action. So the first item here is appointment of Kathleen Shepherd. Travis?
So I believe most of council knows Kathleen Shepherd and has worked with her over the years. As we move forward to take over the sewage system permits, Kathleen's been inspector for health unit and other spots for over 30 years. So her knowledge and expertise is incredible. So we're looking to appoint Kathleen on an as-needed basis only to fill in as we take over the sewage system permits. Just for clarification, a conversation I had with the health unit as of Friday, the November 17th date. So our next report, once that's passed, once the fees are in place, we're actually ready to go almost anytime. They've talked about not accepting applications after November 1st because there's a 10-day window and there are 10 business days windows. So we're probably gonna jump the gun a little early to get moving forward. And then we've talked about taking over fees that they have and whether there be some money sent our way to address the outstanding fees as well. And they have about 58 outstanding permits that as of right now, that'll be sent to us to take carriage of moving forward. So it'll probably be a little earlier than November 17th, and we'll make sure that that's provided through social media and notice is given.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Beth.
Through you, Mayor Martin, are the fees being paid to public health or fees being paid?
So the building permit fees and sewage system fees in the next report, that's so that we can collect fees, we issue the permits.
Okay.
Okay.
So I just make a motion to go with the recommendation with the comment that it's really good to get Kathleen because she's very good. So good job.
Yeah. So that's moved by by Deputy Mayor, second by Councilor Doherty. All in favor? Carried. Next item is the fees.
So just to follow up to council's direction, August 15th, the draft bylaw was presented then. It's simply just mirroring the fees that Peterborough Public Health has in place now and passing the bylaw so that we have them. The bylaw was updated just to have the verbiage in there needed for sewage system permits and fees and the fees added to the schedules and also the application added to the schedule C, I believe. The recommendation that this be passed. Notice has been circulated in accordance with the Ontario Building Code Act, social media, etc.
All right. The recommendation by Councilor Doherty, seconded by Councilor Clement. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Travis. The next item here is employee benefits, Lionel. Been a long time since I've seen decrease. So your reports here and with regards to renewal information from Mosey for a period of November 1st to October 31st. And the recommendation is before council that we go with this, the continuation of the service. So moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, second by Councilor Doherty. Any other questions? All in favor? Good job. Carried. Thank you, Lionel. You got the decrease. Okay. Next item here is the gateway of the time.
Mayor Martin?
This report is to present council the two replacement Havelock-Belmont-Methuen Community Club Gateway sign designs, which, as you'll remember from our June 24th report to council, will be placed at the 4 primary Havelock Village entrance locations. Our recommendation is that council receive the report for information and accept the replacement gateway designs as attached to the report to council. The signs are constrained by the dimensions of the existing structure, which is 72 by 72 for the western gateway and 36 by 72 for the east, north, and south gateways. The replacement signs will be installed on the existing wooden post as noted in the attachment. Roadway sign construction and is engineering grade aluminum 0.08-12 gauge printed on vinyl and rate 11 years maximum guarantee. We are in the process of securing written logo use permission. I'm still waiting on 2 clubs to return my calls, and the Public Works Department met with me on June 6th and agreed that they would help me with the installation of the signs when ready. There is a slight adjustment to the financial impact. As per our June 4th report to council, the forecast cost was $2,950 plus tax, whereas the updated quote was $3,955 and 85 cents plus tax, which reflects current pricing as well as upgraded engineering grade materials. These are both budgeted under our current 2024 gateway signs capital projects account.
Given the increase.
Yes, given the increase for materials.
Okay. All right, so the recommendation here is the council approve the replacement of the road signs design is presented in the staff report. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll make that motion. Just to the comment, thank you for all the hard work on this, Sherry. I know we had correspondence from a couple of groups that were, I don't know if they were still trying to get on this sign, but did we get that rectified or?
Through you, Mayor Martin, yes, there was a comment brought forward from the community wondering why committees, a couple of committees weren't included or events weren't included. The events that were noted in the email that was sent to us, I have that with me. The events were Celebrate Havelock Fire and Ice Festival and Summerfest. These events will be promoted on the replacement sign, which is west of the visitor center. That's the old Peterborough and Kawartha's economic development sign. As part of the Peterborough County Economic Development and Tourism Initiative, that sign will be replaced and those events will be promoted as well as the committees that support them. The other group that was flagged was the Chamber of Commerce. However, at this time, the Chamber of Commerce is in somewhat of flux and we're not able to commit to their logo replacement of the sign.
Thank you for clarifying all that, Sherry. Thank you.
What was that about the sign and Peterborough Economic Development? I missed that part.
Through you, Mayor Martin. So if you're familiar where our kiosk or our visitor center sign is, there is a very dated and weathered sign. And that was installed by Peterborough or the Economic Development Agency back in the day. It's very outdated. They use plexiglass, which is now yellow and faded. You can't quite see through it. So it's part of the broader economic development, Peterborough County Economic Development and Tourism Initiative. Their plan is to replace that sign and bring it up to date. And that's
what on it, sorry?
It would be all information specific to our area. Thus far, the plan is to include the following, which is our notable events, as well as the committees that support them, and the Chamber of Commerce. And that would give some time to have all issues rectified and settled in terms of the name of the organization, what have you.
Follow up, if I may, through you, Mayor. I thought at the time we did the sign that we were going to create the ability to put on and take off, not replace the whole sign.
Through you, Mayor Martin, if we were to have a sign that is road sign worthy, which is to have printed materials onto the sign would stand up, there isn't any vinyl printing that would stand up to the wear and tear of just the road as well as salts and just weather sites. It would end up costing us far more to try to peel on and place on.
No,
So
I was just
the maintenance
curious.
of it would be very challenging.
I didn't know it changed. That's okay. That's, thank you.
So is there any space on the sign to add anything if you needed to, like a couple of spaces maybe?
Through you, Mayor Martin, we've actually added to the number on our signs than before, and we are pressed. This is the smallest that they will allow. They do give consideration to traffic speed when they select sizing, so you have to be approaching, I think it's 30 kilometers or to 50 kilometers for this logo. To go smaller, you'd almost have to be walking by it to really appreciate it.
Okay. All right, so the recommendation is that we, well, the recommendation is before you, so I'll move by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconder, Councillor Clement. Any questions?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Sherry, who is, the red flag? Who is that?
The red
A group.
flag being the Masons,
Oh, is that the?
the Havelock-Masons logo, yes.
You're not allowed to talk about them.
Oh, well, I'm just looking at the sign. I don't see baseball on here as well. Is
Yeah,
there a
it's there.
reason why? Oh, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Martin, we have the sports teams at the very top of the largest sign when you're coming into town, and on the smaller signs, it's sort of through the center. So we have sports being
Express.
soccer, softball, hockey, and figure skating, as well as the Scouts.
Oh, Havelock Express. EX? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder. All in favor? And that's carried. So, thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
The next item here is correspondence action items, and the action item is Peterborough County Commons. It's something that we've done in the past. Thoughts here, how much did we give last year?
Yep, through you, Mayor Martin, $200.
Yeah, this year.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Doherty that we support that, and seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb. All in favor? Carried. Okay, so we have some information items in correspondence. Minister of Infrastructure and Provincial Planning Statement. Any questions around that? If not, then we'll see the balance of the correspondence. Deputy Mayor Webb is moving that. We have a seconder to this. Second by Councillor Flagler. Question?
I have a question, if I may, through you here. It's on page 547, and it refers to one new residential lot per farm consolidated for the residential surplus to an agricultural operation. Is that a change, or is that always the way it's been?
I'm not sure. We'd have to ask staff.
That's a question. I'm sorry. I'd actually do something on that.
547.
So you're in the planning.
It would be a good
Provincial
question to
plan.
ask staff like afterwards if, or bring it to the next.
We can
meeting.
certainly research that.
I don't suspect it's going to make any difference, but I just want to know whether it's a change or not, because
Yeah.
we went from 3 to 2. Is this in another section? I didn't see it, but no, I'd just be interested whether it's a change or whether it's just, I missed it the first time. Thank you.
Yeah, so the thing here has been a long drawn process. Hopefully they get it passed soon. So, okay, so do we have a moving to second to be figured out?
Yes. If you want Webb, Councillor Flagler.
And all in favor of that? And that's good. Next, here is written, or no, committee liaison report. Bear with me. So. Art, did you have any?
County meeting, September 4th, pretty short. Guess there was. Only real thing we discussed, I guess, would be a planning around the new rural materials storage building. So.
Yeah, the one that blew down in the Direco.
Public Works, they're just basically looking at that in terms of the planning and what type of building is going to go there too. They're looking at getting away from the old conical domes in terms of, I guess they're not very efficient for moving sand around and stuff. So they're looking at possibly a new design for that as well. But It was a short meeting.
Yeah. Okay, so the next item on here is the Matheson property. I know that's the agenda, or is that minutes from the September
minutes.
report?
Minutes.
Question to you, Mayor Martin, your first comments. What building are we talking about?
Oh, from the county, the Duro Depot, sorry.
Yeah. It's a Duro storage depot. So you know, but like the big sand domes they have, like the one as you drive into Norwood there that they just built. The county's constructing one of those out in Duro.
County Road 8.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Corner. Right across from Duro.
So does that have anything to do with Havelock? Or is this just what?
No,
county-
I'm just bringing as an update in terms of what we're dealing with in terms of the county.
Okay, so county is dealing with
Yeah.
rural, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The information from the last meeting was rather sparse, so I
Okay.
picked out what I could that
Okay.
might interest you. But yeah, there's nothing from HPM.
Okay.
Yep, I apologize.
No, that's all right.
Okay, so is there any questions around the Matheson Property Committee? The next item here is Councillor Clement with regards to the library board.
Oh, it's just about the math.
I was-
Should we have a discussion?
Do you have anything to add? to
Yeah,
that?
I think most of the council's kind of aware of this in terms of, at the last meeting, we discussed with, the committee, Matheson Committee, I don't know, was set up 5-6 years ago. Anyways, when it was set up while we were basically constructing the Matheson property. In the past year or two, since most of the major work's been done in there, I don't know if there's enough work there to hold the committee busy. So what we'd like to do is expand that committee, and what we talked about, Councillor Flagler was there as well, was making it into a, say, more a parks committee. It's not a parks and rec committee, so it's got nothing to do with the rink, it's got nothing to do with sports, strictly parks. So we'd take Matheson, probably add maybe the concession park down here, possibly Rotary. These are all things, you know, I open it up to you if you have other ideas, but just basically expand that committee to make it more of a parks committee instead of just a Matheson committee, because there's only so much we can do up in Matheson, and a lot of that is gonna be tied to grants probably moving forward too, unless we get grant money, you know. There's not a whole lot of major projects I think we can do in there, given all the other things that are going on in the municipalities, so. Councillor Flagler, did you want to?
No,
Okay.
that is what was discussed there. And I believe that the board itself was okay with that, as long as we don't lose sight of the Matheson property. And the other properties was Rotary Park and that little park at the end of McLean. I'm not sure about the West End Park, because there is that basketball court there, so that would be classified under sports. But I mean, it doesn't matter which park we're gonna look at, it's all gonna depend on funding, correct? Like,
Well, for major things, yes, but there's small things I think we can do with a lot of these parks to spice them up, right, in terms of.
Right.
We could use taxation money for that, but I said any 6-figure or more, I think, projects like that, like, we'd definitely be looking for grant money, so.
So it is an advisory committee, and that's what it will be, is people, even with the new park that we're looking at over here, the new sports field, it's something that the committee may have suggestions, but in the end, it's council that makes the decision.
That's right.
Oh, that's not, sorry, through you, Chair, I'm not sure that would fall in if that's a sports field, if you're
That's
talking
right.
parks.
And we, like, before, we won't go down, we'll get into discussions, I guess, in a month or two when we do the actual committees, in terms of we'll finalize, what's gonna be.
Okay.
In the terms of reference for this committee, I'm just throwing.
No, I was just clarifying, I thought you said specifically to get out of the realm of sports and deal with
Yeah,
parks only.
yeah.
Well, that's a sports field, not a park at the moment anyway.
And there were comments made at the meeting by certain members in terms of, they would like to see it stay more of a parks and not draw sports and other things into it,
Okay.
because it gets convoluted.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
I don't know if the new.
I was just clarifying, I'm just clarifying what was said. If I can do a follow-up question, does this mean the committee that's presently with Masses then would transfer it over to the park committee, or is there going to be a new committee that's going to be dissolved and a new one develop with new volunteers, I guess was.
Well, I believe that the appointments run out The 2-year appointments?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, the mandate of the Matheson Committee expires at the end of this year.
Okay.
So it is time to advertise for new committee members. So at that point, if you wish to expand the mandate of that committee and make it a Parks and Matheson Committee, it would be that.
So the members that are there are free to reapply. Like they would have to do anyways, because even if we continue it as Matheson, the volunteers run out, I think in December, is about the end of the year, is that what it is?
Yeah.
So they'd have to reapply for the next 2-year stint, so they're, all they do is reapply for the Parks Committee instead of the Matheson Committee, but they could reapply, yeah. Okay, so-
Same as the council representatives, we're all gonna
Yeah.
juggle our things possibly, so.
But the Matheson property is still there.
Yes, and yeah. And would probably be the keystone of that thing, because I think it's the biggest park you'd be dealing with right in that committee, so.
Okay. Okay, so the other item we have here is library board. Is there any questions for Kathy with regards to that? She could bring back to us. And the other one is Eastern Ontario Trails Alliance minutes. If there's no questions, I can take a motion to receive all of these reports. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councilor Flagler. All in favor? Carried. And with other business, we have the Jerry, you're in other business, so.
Well, this is the most exciting part of the council, of course. So thank you, council. This is our 9th contest draw. We had 43 entries this last 2-week period. Our top 3 businesses were Foodland, Petrocan, and Home Hardware. And with this, we have 3 remaining contests, which will finish up at the end of October. The last one being selected early November. So if I could call on one council meeting. Oh, you know what? Yes. Councilor Flagler drew last time. I've called on Jerry and Kathy in the past. So I think it's Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, it's Deputy Mayor.
Deputy Mayor.
Time to get the staff.
It's a time to get staff. I know that.
Just do it already.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Sure.
And the drum roll.
Yes, and a drum roll. Oh, geez. And the winner is Kathy Cameron.
Oh, yeah.
Kathy Cameron has been a former winner in the past, and she heavily participates in the contest. So again, for anyone that watches this video, you can participate in this contest by sending your pictures of your receipts to shop local at hbmtwp.ca, or you can drop your receipts into the Dropbox for the place. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. What we have for other business, the one thing I jumped over was written or oral notice of motion. Was there anybody that had a written notice of motion today or an oral notice of motion? Being none, we're gonna move into bylaws. And we have 2 years. So the first bylaw here is the zoning bylaw amendment, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb. Cousins, the bylaw 2024-6067. So moved by Deputy Mayor and second by Councilor Clement. All in favor? And that's carried. The next item here is to appoint Kathleen Shepherd to our septic inspections. So moved by Councilor Clement, seconder. Deputy Mayor Webb.
Correct.
All in favor? Carried. And the bylaw, these to include septic and septic permits, so. Motion to move that bylaw. Councilor Flagler, Councilor Doherty. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay. It wouldn't, that was a minor variance.
Okay, so it doesn't,
Okay, thank you. Okay, so, I'm gonna look for a motion to, go into closed session. Held under section 239(2)(b) for personal matters and identifiable individual and municipal or local boards. Motion to vote, Deputy Mayor Webb, Councilor Doherty, all in favor, and that's carried. Okay, motion to
go to lunch.
yeah, we're back in open. So we will look for any motions to come out of closed. Bob?
Yeah, motion to make the executive assistant position full-time for the three departments of Public Works, Fire, and Parks. Recreation.
Okay, Bev and Kathy. In favor? Carried. Great. The next item, confirming bylaw. For today's meeting, Kathy, Bev. All in favor? Carried. Motion to adjourn. Art, Jerry. Thank you.